All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Ask a Dev. And you know what? It's the weekend, so I'm going to grab a beer real quick. All right, sorry. It's usually not the best thing to do is just get up and leave right in the beginning, but it happens. All right, so how's everyone doing, man? Welcome back. It's another wonderful evening. It's been a long week. It's been a good week, I would say, for the most part. But I wanted to say, I don't know if it's the time of year or maybe I'm a little more sensitive than I used to be. I don't know. But there has been quite a bit of negativity when it comes to the comment section of the YouTube channel. I don't know what that's about. I really don't. You would think this is a politics channel. You would think this is a I don't know. I don't know, but everyone's a critic lately. So much so, and I've talked about this in the past, where like if you have sort of people online that are bothering you or causing issues, you live in a great society where you can block people, you can remove people, you can simply just not have those people around, right? And so what I've done, and this is probably unfortunate because I like responding back to the comments when I get a chance to, and really the live stream has sort of taken over that aspect because now I can answer your questions just directly right away, right? And that's usually something that works out a little bit better because it's live. There's a little bit more of a feedback than a one-on-one. But unfortunately, I've stopped sort of reading the comments lately. I don't really deal with negativity, and so like the way that I deal with this is just not having part of my life. Is that my boy Ricky? Ricky, you started a new job recently, didn't you? Do I have 4 monitors? It would appear so if we looked in the the window reflection. Yeah, I don't know, but it's basically been the last month and a half where like normally I don't. I mean, you always get negativity when you're on YouTube, but like let's say you might get 1 comment in like 40 that's negative, something like that. But honest to God, it's probably been a 1 in 4 lately, and I don't know what the deal is. I honestly don't. I don't know if this time of year people are a little bit unhappy, and so they're just taking it on the comment section. I don't know if maybe I'm more stressed. I feel good though. There was a point in time at my previous workplace where I was definitely feeling stressed, but lately I feel good, happy. I don't know. I don't know what it is, son. But hey, it is what it is. You got negative comments too recently, Ricky? Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's discouraging, without a doubt, but what are you going to do? In my case, I'm just going to stop reading the comments completely, and I'll just answer questions in live streams. But, that's besides the point. How's everyone doing? Can you advise any good roadmaps for a developer? I mean, it depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Are you trying to do front end? Are you trying to do back end? Are you trying to do mobile? Are you trying to do DevOps? Every roadmap's going to be slightly different. 2 weeks into studying, 4 hours a day, learning a lot, about to start your algorithms course. Good for you, Emmanuel. Good for you. That's a great course. It got some Can I just tell you, I am actually just sick of Mac. Like, I'm sick of iOS users. iOS users, the only 1 stars I get on my Udemy courses are from iOS users who are like, he didn't show how to install on a Mac. Bro, I don't have a Mac. I don't have to show you to install anything. You entitled mothers. Oh my God. Have I learned anything valuable in the boot camp? So this is a video that's going to be coming out next week, but because of everything going on in life and starting a new job, what I had to do, unfortunately, is I had to furlough the boot camp. So I'll be coming back to it in about 3 months. My first priority is making sure that I'm doing well with the technologies I'm working in. Second priority is learning outside. So, it just happened that unfortunately, opportunity came at an inopportune time. So I'm able to focus a little bit more on the core technologies I work with, make sure I'm up and running there. And then in 3 months, when I feel solid, jump back in. It's also a great opportunity because it's allowed me to start my, every day I've been filming 3 videos a piece of my new course that I want to build out that has 100 different topics in it. So I've been slowly building that out. That's actually, in terms of videos, going to max out what Udemy is going to let me do. So it's going to be pretty good. Is TypeScript worth the time to master it? I would say it is. I think what you're probably going to see is that Angular has it enabled by default, but I think what you're probably going to see is that React followed by Vue is going to maybe enable it by default. That would be like the default situation. How much will the course be? It'll be $10 with a coupon code on Udemy, or it will be, because of the nature of it, I will offer a $100 version. And in that case, you can get project feedback, and we'll do like live streams together where everyone's in like a Google Hangouts sharing their projects and things like that. So that'll be something that I do. Yeah. Is system design worth the time to master? So system design is one of those words, one of those things that means quite a bit to quite a different amount of people. So like sometimes people would say system design is like architecture. Sometimes people would say system design is the architecture of one aspect of the system. But you can't really master system design, because the way to master system design is to just systems change, and the structure of the systems change based on technologies. Although clean code says it shouldn't, I kind of disagree. Based off technologies and based off of state of the application. And it's sort of this fluid thing that's evolving, because especially in web development, where standards are so all over the place, that what you can do is have some core principles of how you're going to execute on that system design, and that's things like the solid principles. So I would say you're not going to ever master system design. It should be something that you're continually trying to improve upon, and there should be certain principles that you follow to have good system design. Yeah. Is it true that backend is less work, Dylan? As a front-end developer who also has done backend in the past, it all depends, right? If I'm just building a web page, if I'm just building an HTML, CSS web page, if you just show me what it looks like, I'll build it in a day. No functionality, no problem, no big deal. However, if I'm now building a mobile-first web page that's responsive, okay, I'm now building not only a mobile first, but a responsive design. And now I'm adding some JavaScript in that now has to have a dynamic functionality. Now maybe I need to handle authentication in the front end. Now I need to handle the cert in the front end. Now I need to handle, hey, Dylan, wouldn't it be great if our application was a progressive web app? You're saying, Dylan, what does that entail? Well, now I have to install service workers, which means I need to make sure that it's compatible on Safari mobile and Android and iOS. And by the way, we need to find a caching strategy. Do we want a network only caching strategy, a cache first? Do we want a cache first, refresh cache, network, refresh cache, send network caching strategy? Okay. Do we want to notify the user when the site has gone offline or in low internet and then come back online? Do we want to implement an onboarding strategy for our progressive web application where when you come to the site, set amount of times, we're going to notify you and show you sort of a click here to do this, click there to do that. Did you know about these features? How complex is our front-end web application? So do I believe that there is a lot more going on in the front end? I tend to. But I can't say definitively because I'm not a back-end developer. The majority of my development has been in the front end, without a doubt. I have 3 years experience, 1 year doing full stack, 2 years doing front end, basically. So what I would say is that there is a lot of challenges in the front end. You have to handle things like caching, cookies, local storage, REST standards. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot more moving parts in the front end, which is why I lean towards it being a little bit more complex than the back end. The closer you are to the user, the more convoluted things get because now you're dealing with the customer base. And when it comes to UI specifically, you're dealing with things that are always changing. Yeah, I mean, there are concepts that I've named that will go to the back end as well, but you're also dealing with the HTML, the CSS aspect. I mean, there's developers with 30 years of experience that don't know CSS, couldn't write a media query if you ask them to. There's, it's just the nature of the beast. They have to then deal with build tools. You have to deal with polyfills. You have to deal with browser compatibility. You have to deal with Webpack. I don't know if you can hear this, but I can hear April listening to me in the living room on the live stream. But yeah, so that's where I lead to. In my personal thing is that it's very hard to find good front-end developers. There are a lot of front-end developers. There aren't very many good ones. I know you can hear me, baby. Can you turn it down? Because it's distracting me hearing my own voice in the living room. How deep should a front end go in functional programming? You should master anything you're working in. If you're working in functional programming, you should go and get going with it. Does software engineering include the standard software, like textbook topics like agile methods of dev, architectural design, testing, or just making software? So it depends on who you ask. I like to be very highly paid. I like to be able to get a job at any moment, and I consider myself a professional. That means that I go out of my way to understand testing to its fullest, understand the QA process to its fullest, understand good architecture, understand what it means to write clean code and the solid principles and things like that. So depends how much money you want to make, depends how good of a developer you want to be, depends how passionate you are. So it all just sort of depends. A good place to learn responsive design, I think it's just real practice, really, and going out of your way to fully, like when you say mobile first, taking that mentality and developing that way. Now taking that mentality and coding that way, and learning about good CSS architecture, learning about good HTML semantics, learning about accessibility. It's just like anything else when it comes to learning a good place to learn responsive design. Oftentimes, the fundamentals are very available, but practicing those and improving upon those is two different things. Could I check out your graphene library repo? Send me an email at Dylan's email 310 and I'll check it out. On your previous company's website, it tells the user to download another browser for using IE. Isn't that bad UX? It depends. So like, knowing your customer base is crucial. So if your customer base is government contractors that 90% of them use IE, could you ever get away with a solution like that? No, possibly not. But if you have a 0.1% audience that's using IE and you're saying we are willing to force that 0.1% into that's using IE and say, look, you have to download a modern browser, use Edge even, because our site takes advantage of technologies that maybe isn't available to IE, right? IE yeah, IE hasn't been maintained for over a decade. And the same thing's going to happen to Edge, unfortunately. Microsoft did it again, right? They're going to go and get a Chromium browser. It's such a joke, but so you have to make that decision. So could it be a bad decision? It could be, but it also could be the correct decision, because you have to understand there's numbers associated with everything. Nothing's a yes or no black and white thing oftentimes. Yeah, I want to say back in 2010 they made the switch from around there, where more people are on their phones. It's only gotten more prevalent. Let me see if I can find a stat. I'm just curious what it is. 2018, my computer's printing something. All right, so according to Stone Temple, let's see here. 63% of people presents of visits were mobile. So there you go. Question, Dylan, when did you know you finally understood how to code well, and what are your goals now? Honest Tomato, I absolutely adore your name. But Honest Tomato has a name like Bob. And that's why I came up with such a good online name. So what I would say is that I put a lot of work in to get to where I am, and I will continue to put on a lot of work to continue to improve. But how do I know I code well? That's such a broad question, but really I think the easiest answer is after getting a developer job and then interviewing people and seeing how they just weren't prepared. So at my work, our clients use older version of IE, and that's why we can't use CSS Grid on our projects, and that's fair. That's fair, but anything that it depends on your industry, right? Like you might not really support Safari all that much, or be worried that they're out of date if 0.1% use Safari. But if the majority of your people are iOS users, you need to make sure your Safari stuff works first. Your Safari first, like. My experience in interviewing junior developers, junior, senior, some of the worst interviews I've ever had were people with 20 years experience. People have allegedly been creating REST APIs for 20 years, and you ask them questions about what makes a REST API, and they sort of just all of a sudden they forgot. People who you ask them to write a for loop on the whiteboard, all of a sudden they forgot. They say something like, I usually use for each. That's cool, but I need you to write a for loop. People like that. So it sounds absurd. It is. I didn't believe it when people told me. And the funny thing is, like, you'll interview people who've contracted for Google, contracted for Microsoft. And then you're like, there's no way. The best candidate on paper, the best candidate on paper, hands down. Worked at LinkedIn, contractor job at Microsoft, contractor job at Google. Had probably, I want to say, like 8 years of experience around there. At least the most impressive resume in terms of what was on there. But one thing I always notice, and this is something that is one of those things that is like a dead giveaway, is if they don't have any personal projects. That's the thing where I look at that and I'm like, these people are going to bomb. But I was like, yeah, let's go. All right. Couldn't write the for loop. Couldn't write the for loop. Couldn't do fizz buzz, y'all. Couldn't do fizz buzz. Depressing. Absolutely depressing. Do you think the rise in web dev attention will get too saturated? No. Do you laugh when that happens? No, you keep it professional. You keep it professional, and you help them out, and you hope that they learn something along the way, and you guide them, right? You know, how would you feel if you went and tanked an interview and they just started laughing at you, right? You leave that interview and you feel a little down. You feel a little embarrassed by the people in your profession, but that's about it. You don't laugh at them. You treat them with respect. You help them through it. You help them. You break down. If they don't know the for loop, you explain. I'm not kidding. Like literally, you break out the 3 parts, right? Like if you can't do the for loop, cool. It happens, right? I've tanked interviews before. I haven't tanked them since I've been a dev, but you take interviews, it happens. Let me tell you, man, when I did those 24 algorithms or whatever it was at Microsoft, I tanked 1 or 2 of them without a doubt. But literally, if they're up here, where the fuck is my eraser? If they're up here and they're like, yo, what's the 3 parts, right? And they're just writing this out. I personally go out of my way to educate them, right? So you have your for loop. I was like, all right, well, you have your initialized variable, right? So you're going to set it to 0. Then you have your break case, and then you have your iteration count, right? How many times you're going to iterate it. And so you just start helping them out. You start breaking it down from piece by piece. And then you see if they get it. And sometimes it's not about killing the interview. It's about seeing if it clicks. Sometimes people just need a jump start. They're nervous, whatever. Finally got your first web developer job. It feels unreal. Good for you, man. Good for you. Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing, man. It's like, do you know? Here's a fact for you. I went on Stack Overflow the other day, and based on where I am in my career, I am paid roughly 20% higher than what the average developer is in the top 25% of developers. So I'm probably in the top 5 to 10% of paid developers in my area. Why is that? Why is it that a 2-time college dropout who's kind of quirky, I don't have the best skills, like in terms of personal skills. Why is it that before I accepted my current role, I had 3 6-figure plus offers at the same time? Why is that in 1 month of looking? And many interviews followed up. You know why? Because I am a professional. I just didn't go and take a job that I enjoy it, for one, so it makes it easy to learn, but I've gone out of my way to get better. I've gone out of my way. That question the individual asked earlier said, hey, is software engineering just learning how to write code? To some people, without a doubt, and you can get there. You'll still get paid very well. You'll still get paid 60 to 100 grand, no problem, right? Maybe more, right? You'll be one of those people with 20 years experience that will ask you to come write a for loop on the board and you'll say, I usually use for each loops. That can be you. All right. That can be you. I promise you. But if you want to be a professional, if you want to have job security as much as you can working for a corporation, which isn't much, if you want to get paid well and you want to be highly in demand, you have to learn a lot, and you have to be consistent, and you have to continue to grind and grow, right? Like, let me just show you something real quick. I'll just be right back. Just show you what's up. So let's talk about improving. Let's just talk about, how many of you have a book? How many of you have books to improve off of? And we're not even talking about watching videos, watching courses, whatnot. So cool, here's one book. Here's another book. Hey, 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 here's another book. And another book. Those are just what I've read. And there's probably I haven't finished Code Complete in all honesty. I'm still reading this one. It's a little bit of a dry read. It's about 900 pages, but that's just one way that I've gone out of my way in the last year. By the way, let me make this clear. I've only been reading software books for a year. And so, let's see, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books there? 8 books that I've only been reading these books for a year because that was one way I wanted to improve. So my point is this, is that you can have these conversations with people where it's very apparent that they've never taken time outside of work to improve. And that's okay. Not every developer needs to be obsessed. Not every developer needs to be a top 10% developer. But that's who I want you to be. That's who I want to be. That's what I want. That's what I want. So how do you do that? How do you go and get 20% above what Stack Overflow says is the top 25% of people with your skill set? You go and you do it by just killing it. You go and you just how do you go and get hired in a framework that you barely have worked in, if not touched? You go and prove that you have solid fundamentals in everything, and that a framework is just that, and not something that you need to memorize. You understand the fundamentals of what it means to work in a single page application. You understand the fundamentals of the solid principles of JavaScript. So, this is how you get good. And I hope you get good. I really do, because it can change your life. It has changed mine. I have gone from being broke and hungry to buying a brand new house. And like, it's not just a money thing. It's a, April's here taking care of our pets and going to school while not having to hold a job. If my mom needs help, my dad needs help, great, I can support the family. My brother needs to borrow some money, cool, help him out. I need to just not stress about bills, great. So what I'm trying to say is, don't settle. A lot of you will get a job. If you go and learn to code, you go and learn the basic fundamentals, someone will give you a shot, as long as you keep growing. The problem is about 9 out of 10 of you will stop there. 9 out of 10 of you will stop right there and won't continue to grow. And it'll be unfortunate. And you'll do all right. You'll probably do better than you know. I tell you right now, man, when I made 45 grand, whoo! Oh my goodness. When I went from delivering pizzas to making 45K, whoo, I was still hungry, but I felt like I was raking it in California. Let me tell you, whew, it felt good. I said, I better keep this job. Woo! It feels much better making 3 times that. I'll be honest with you. Life has improved quite a bit. And it's a stress thing, right? It's a stress thing. It's not a money thing. Money's just a means to an end. But I encourage you to take your career seriously and be a professional. That's what I encourage you to do. If you do, all of it comes along the way. It's pretty simple. Started with .NET, got into React, Angular. Like, yeah, you can combine them too. That's fine. Pitting on .NET development, I'm telling you, man, the C# and .NET out there is paying really well, and there's a lot of great jobs in it. If I was going to pick up a backend language that wasn't Node, I would definitely go with C# .NET. And I don't really care too much about the database. I thank you, Reno, so I appreciate that. AI is going to take all web developer jobs in the next year. Okay. I mean, maybe you're right. If AI can take web dev jobs, it's just going to take all jobs. That's really it. Yeah, WordPress and Wix, that's where all the jobs are, man. What are we going to do? You like React? I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. I'm not a fan of React. Like, if there's one of the frameworks I just kind of avoid, it's React. I'm not a big fan of functional programming, personally. Trying to talk my brother out of going becoming an iOS developer. I think that's a good choice. I think a full stacker or a web developer in general is probably going to be the best path. I've had my opinion about progressive web apps and how they're going to slowly dwindle away from mobile jobs. People disagree, and that's fair. But I think that's something that's going to happen over the next coming years. Yeah, and that's sort of my stance with AI. Like, people are like, AI is going to take all web dev jobs. If AI actually does take web dev jobs, it's not just web dev going down. It's essentially any job that has software development. There's no reason it would stop. React hooks? Are you talking about lifecycle hooks? Because all the frameworks have lifecycle hooks. Out of all the books on JavaScript I've read, so most of the books, believe it or not, other than You Don't Know JS and this one, most of the books haven't been on JavaScript. They've been on higher level sort of items that aren't language specific. The book that I'd recommend the most, and there's links for these in the description if you want to help a brother out, I'd recommend reading Clean Code, followed by The Clean Coder. That's what I would recommend above any other books out on the market. I haven't worked with machine learning. Waldo, I know Waldo. You couldn't read more than 2 pages of clean code? That's unfortunate. Clean code is what got me a 45% raise in a year. So I would encourage you to master clean code relatively quickly. Clean code and the solid principles in a year made me an extra 45%. That would be one of the #1 things I would contribute it to. Clean code is what made people stop considering me to be a junior developer. So any JavaScript specific books? You Don't Know JS is a really simple, sort of easy, and it's often, I believe the ebook is free. So if you're just looking for an introduction to JavaScript, I think that's good. Really, the thing with JavaScript is it's more than just JavaScript. Like, working with JavaScript involves DOM manipulation a lot of times. It involves HTML5 APIs. Like, the actual stuff that you're going to get tripped up on in JavaScript, I could talk to you in about 2 minutes. It's like you have to understand falsy values, and you have to understand that typos is a little weird, and that objects don't work like objects do in other languages. So I'd recommend Clean Code over anything for book-wise. That's really it, though, for the complexity of JavaScript. They've simplified a lot of things, and numbers are kind of weird. That's another thing. Yeah, so there's a lot of quirks in JavaScript. Do you ever get the feeling of burning out? Yeah, I did last couple months at my previous job. That had to do with stress. That had to do with environment. I had to probably do a little bit with my personal life, buying a house, getting a dog. Happy with both those choices, but that is stress. My family situation. So those are all things that help burn me out. So what do I do when I burn out? Well, oftentimes I complain to April, and she uh, she knows when I'm burning out better than I do a lot of times, and so so um, I try and take a break. The problem is there's very few things I enjoy outside of coding right now and outside of working, and there's a couple of games out there, um, but yeah, I just have to find ways to chill it. I've only probably felt burnt out two separate occasions over the last 4 years. I will say I don't think I'm burnt out, but I don't have the same drive that I once did. It concerns me. Um, have I finally played Kingdom Hearts? Kingdom Hearts been out like 2 weeks. No, I haven't played it yet. I will. I'll pick it up. How do I read sort of books? I typically so how I like to read books is I'll carry it in my bag or I'll keep it by my nightstand at night and I'll read a chapter a night. So I usually get in bed. I actually usually get in bed by 8, but I'm not asleep till like 9:30 because I'm like watching YouTube, I'm answering emails, I'm bugging April, whatever whatever it is, right? Um, so uh, so that's usually how it goes. Who do I have winning the two main cards on the UFC 234? I believe that's with Robert Whitaker, Gastelum, and then Anderson Silva. Um, so I think Anderson Silva is probably going to lose. I don't think he can't win, but I think he's probably going to lose. I also think that the main event can go either way. But Israel Adesanya will probably win. I think he'll probably finish Anderson Silva. Silva's great, but he's getting up there. His last couple fights haven't been all that impressive. And then I would say every time I doubt Kelvin Gastelum, he comes out for the win. So I'm gonna go with my boy Kelvin. I think he's gonna take it. What's good for my favorite Florida dev? Hey, born and raised. No, not. You gotta pretend when you're in Florida that you're native. Take up bodybuilding and burnout. That's another thing is I need to start exercising. That's always really helped me. It's hard. It's hard to mentally commit. But it's something dogs help with a lot as well. Is I've just been like playing with the dog, running around, and so that's been really really great. What do you think about people telling everyone to learn to code when they lose their job? I think a lot of people are looking for get rich quick schemes, which is unfortunate. But I don't think it's a bad idea if you understand that you can grow quite a bit. Like if you say, look, if I was to tell you 2 years from now you could be a developer, that's a long time. 2 years, if you work every day for 2 years, I guarantee you'll get a 60K job. And if you continue to work for another 2 years, you'll be at 100K easy. That's 4 years of effort. And a lot of times what people are thinking is like, I'll learn to code in a month. I'll learn to code in 3 months. I'm not going to have to put these 2 years effort in. And that doesn't mean that you can't get a job for those 2 years. What that means is that what it means to learn to code is different levels, right? You can learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the fundamentals in a weekend. You really can. If you have someone to help and sit you down and explain to you how variables work, what it means to iterate through a list and different data types, that's really the hard part. And then you just have to learn this does this does that in HTML, CSS. Great. But you then need to practice, you then need to master, you need to move on to more advanced topics. So you start here and you can learn the basics, and you might even get a job, honestly, at an internship for $10 an hour, $12 an hour at some web dev shop. So start there, and then you go and you get better and better and better. But a lot of times people think, oh, I'm just gonna do Codecademy and nothing else, and like I'll put an hour a week into it, and let's say I can code. Yeah, 100K a year. Did I say a month? That'd be sweet. Y'all wouldn't see me if I was making 100K a month. But yeah, so like I think it's a good idea. I think if people are in a shitty situation and want to get better, I think it's great, but it's not for everybody. My brother went back to school recently. I was trying to convince him to learn to code. He spent like an afternoon taking a look at it. I was like, this ain't for me. And then moved on. Personally, I think he would like it. I think anyone would like it if they like, I don't know. It's a great profession to be in, but I guess I understand it's not for everybody. I don't know. What do I know? Unemployed journalists are being told to code by 4chan and other groups because the journalists told cold hunters to go and lost their jobs. I mean, it's one thing to do. If you went from a profession that's getting either automated, like a cashier, I guess, or like a factory worker, to something that's just getting deprecated, like coal mining, what would you want to do? What you should do is look for a job that's in high demand, that's hiring, that's software. So go and do that. The crazy thing about it is you can teach yourself all this stuff for free, relatively for free. So the first 3 months of my web development job, of my very first job, were, I don't want to say it was stressful, but it was somewhat stressful because I moved across country. I didn't know anybody here, and I was renting a room with a bunch of dudes I didn't know. But I was stressed from the life aspect, but then I was also putting in hours after work. I'd go home. I didn't even have a desk. I'd sit on the floor just coding. Jobs getting deprecated. Yeah, deprecated might be a kind of a funny word to use, right? Do you get close to the people at your job? I don't even know what that means. But all right, guys. So as always, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Another episode of Ask a Dev with your boy. As always, don't forget to take a look at my courses in the description below. And if you already own it, can you please go rate it? You know, it's always the higher the rating, the better it is. It gets more, helps me out. It's one of the ways that if you decide to buy a course, please rate it and review it. And of course, don't forget to check out the videos, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.